A very warm welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you're all doing good, my dear friends. Today is 26th September and a special topic that I have for you guys is about Maldives. Now, as you can see on your screen, Maldives is a country that is not far from our nation, that is India. And Maldives is also part of this region called South Asia, isn't it? So let's quickly go through the nations of South Asia. You have Afghanistan, one. Second one is Pakistan. Third will be our country India. Fourth is Nepal. Fifth is Bhutan. Sixth is Bangladesh. Seventh Sri Lanka. And eighth is Maldives. Maldives is also part of this regional group called SAARC. And if we quickly go through this brief, you can say bird's eye view profile of Maldives, then we find that the capital of Maldives is Malé. Population is 3,24,000 only. Compared to India, it's nothing. Area is 298 square kilometer. Major language is Divehi. Major religion is Islam. Life expectancy is 76 years for men and 79 years for women. And currency is rufiya. Now, as we know that Maldives is not far from the map, of course. Now, India, in our country, we have this foreign policy called neighborhood first. Isn't it? Neighborhood first policy. So, what we are trying to achieve here with this neighborhood first policy is we are basically giving topmost priority to our neighbors, right? May it be Pakistan, Afghanistan, all these countries, right? We are giving let me give you a small, you can say, background about why or how we can understand it is important. You know, the first country that Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited after becoming Prime Minister was Bhutan. During his swearing-in ceremony as well, Pakistani leaders were also present here. You know, leader from Nawaz Sharif was present and other leaders were here. If we go back in the history of India and neighborhood relationship, I'm talking about this Narendra Modi government, right? I'm not taking you through the whole history. Very quickly, if I tell you that as far as this bilateral relationship between Maldives and India is concerned, Prime Minister Modi was going to visit Maldives back in 2015. At that point of time, he was supposed to visit 4 countries. He was going to visit Sri Lanka, which he did. He visited Seychelles. He visited Mauritius, but Maldives was the name of this Maldives was on the list, but Prime Minister or the government of India dropped its name, this Maldives name, because relationship are not that good if we compare it, or generally speaking, what they used to be and what it is now, right? Things are very bad between both the nations here. So this is the only country where Prime Minister Modi has not visited as far as our neighboring region or this South Asian region is concerned. Prime Minister has also visited Pakistan. You know, Pakistan is our arch rival then as well. We have been there, but not in Maldives. So you can imagine how bad things are. Now, Maldives, here is a proper zoomed map here. The capital is here, Malé, and as you can see here, it is an archipelago. That means it is made up of so many tiny islands. Equator is passing from this island here. So tropical region, tropical weather, island, so tourism is something that we naturally expect here. If I take you through this timeline of this Maldives country, then you find the 12th century, Islam was introduced here. 1558 to 73, Portuguese used to rule over this place. Then 17th century, Dutch came in, then British. Then finally in 65, it got independence, but it became a monarchy. Sultan was there. Sultan was deposed in 68. Since then, means after 68, for nearly 10 years, Ibrahim Nasir, the first president, took over this country. He was followed by Mr. Gayoom. Under Gayoom's regime, we saw this tourism industry, reaching at altogether next level. In 2008, Gayoom was defeated by Nasheed, and then Nasheed was, became victim of this coup. And again, election took place. Nasheed decided to stay away from it. And 2013, Yamin became president. And as we see here, that latest 2018 opposition leader, Ibrahim Mohamed Soli, is the one here. He is Mr. Soli. So Soli won this recently held presidential election that took place last Sunday. So his party, Maldivian Democratic Party, has won this election. And this gentleman here, he is Mr. Yamin. He is out now. He's not in power anymore. People used to, means the whole world was thinking about this thing, that he won't let it go that easily, but he has accepted his defeat. And the reason why people were not, it's a bit shocking for every one of us that it was this easy that Mr. Yamin let go, this position, because since he took over, and it's not just him, but his regime was a bit more harsh compared to other ones, like Nasheed as well. When he was ruling Maldives, he gradually became, a bit more and more authoritarian. But under his Yamin's regime, you can say that it was, you can say, at worst. You can see here these opposition politicians were either jailed or forced into exile. One example is Mr. Nasheed, former president of Maldives, is in exile because terror charges are levied against him. Then local media repressed. At the same time, they are not allowing Indian media or foreign media to observe this election. Judges, Supreme Court, two Supreme Court judges were kept behind the bars. So this is again something that is not at all possible in a proper democratic country where you have proper checks and balances. And then you have this emergency. It was recently declared. This year itself, 2018, it was declared in this Maldives. So things were bad. And his half brother, Gayum, who used to be former president, he is in fact behind the bars at present. So it was very tough as well as very rough, for, you can say, rogue regime was going on in Maldives. On paper, it is a democratic country, but in reality, if we go and see the situation, ground reality indicates, the evidences are quite contrary. Now, former President Mohammad Nasheed, currently in exile in Sri Lanka, being barred from contesting the polls. It was also feared that Yamin would rig this election and he will again come back to power. But fortunately, you can say, good for India, good for the people of Maldives. They have seen a sort of proper election. Of course, there were some changes, like last minute, how to count votes. This sort of rules and regulations were changed. And this party office of this Maldivian Democratic Party, their party headquarters was also raided and things like that. Now, as far as India and this Maldives relationship are concerned, and the reason why we are discussing this, or we have taken this particular country as a special topic subject, is, as I told you, it's part of this SARC and everything. Apart from that, this Maldives has been orbiting in, it's been roaming here in China's orbit for a bit of long time now. And China is building dual purpose ports in Indian Ocean. As you can see here, China is roughly somewhere here, and China is not part of this Indian Ocean region, and we don't want extra regional players coming here and building this sort of ports and things. The other thing is Maldives is also notorious in terms of Wahhabism. Wahhabism is an ideology that is more extremist in nature, and there are many terrorist organizations. Most of the terrorist organizations, they are, if I'm not wrong, they are following this Wahhabism, and under this Wahhabism they are like extremists, and so this is something that is going on in Maldives as well. Because if you go through international figures about people joining terrorism or people joining predominantly ISIS, that we find that Maldives stands number one in terms of its population and the ratio. When you compare this population as well as number of people joining ISIS, then we find that Maldives is number one. So it's a very sad thing that next door, we find this sort of China playing games here with BRI and terrorism or Wahhabism, and Saudi Arabia trying to buy. Can you believe this thing? A small island nation like Maldives, for them land is something that is very premium, and they are ready to sell it under this Yemen's regime. They were ready to sell it, or that they were ready to literally sell or give these islands on a long lease to Saudi Arabia and other countries. So India used to be unhappy with this thing. India was not at all happy, and Maldives used to be a bit arrogant when India used to, talk about this China and Saudi Arabia and doing military exercise with Pakistan and all these things. But anyways, there was a pressure coming from USA and EU as well. And this USA and EU, they have also talked about, they warned, threatened this Maldives that economic sanctions will be applied on them if they are not following this proper democracy, if they are harassing people of Maldives and things like that. And political instability in Maldives had spilled over with a section of opposition asking India to intervene as well. Nasheed used to, ask India that there should be a military intervention, but we were in a sort of, you can say, we were patiently observing what's going on. And the good thing is that because of all this, churn that was going on here, throwing leaders behind the bars and Supreme Court judges behind the bars and all these things, created, I believe, a political awareness in the people of Maldives, and 90% turnout was there. So this indicates that people are very much active in politics, and this is a good thing as well. If people are keeping an eye on government and if they are taking active part in election, then that's a good thing. Now, China is going to stay there. China has invested huge amount of money. We should support Maldives in terms of their democracy, in terms of their development, in terms of sustainability, climate change. There are so many areas where we can work together. Hopefully the new government that is in, this government will, the first thing they will do hopefully will be to develop relationship or restore relationship with India, which is very important in terms of culture and other things, in terms of security. And this Maldives is part of Indian Ocean region as well. So India too will benefit, if we have this cordial relationship with this country, Maldives. So that's everything in this discussion here. With this, dear friends, our pen drive and tablet courses are available for various different exams. Do check out StudyIQ.com to find out more about it, and to get this PDF of this lecture, you will get it from my FB page and Twitter handle. Now we have a platform called GEM. GEM stands for this Government E-Marketplace. This month, 5th September basically, starting of this month, Suresh Prabhu, who is Minister of Commerce and Industry, he launched this national mission on Government E-Marketplace. And 6 weeks, you can say, it's been this starting from 6th September till 17th October. This 6 weeks, right, that we have, we are going to create awareness. The government is going to create awareness about GEM, how good it is, how transparent it is, and all these things. Because in last 2 years, we have seen 8 lakh transactions taking place. And out of this, the total of this 8 lakh transaction is 12,239 crore rupees, which is not bad. And how it works is basically you have government as your buyer, so if government wants to buy something, department of any government or branches, central or state, if they want to buy something, then they can check out this GEM, that is Government E-Marketplace, where sellers can, sell items directly to government, and money will be transferred online and things like that. So it's a very innovative way of government procurement. At the same time, government has saved some 20 to 25% of overall, you can say, saving has gone up as well of government, because it is purchasing from GEM. Moving on to another item, Antyodaya Divas. This Divas is, or this day is celebrated in the name of Pandit Deendayal Upadhyaya. The nation celebrated his 102nd birth anniversary, that is on 25th September. And this day, as you know, that it is observed as Antyodaya Divas. He was born in Mathura in 1916. He was a philosopher, an organizer par excellence, and as far as integrity is concerned, he was a sort of, you can say, a person, that you will look upon, that this person is man of integrity. And he used to believe that our country cannot be, our society as well as our country, you cannot say that we have developed until and unless the last person, the last man in the queue, if his or her development is not done, then we cannot say that our nation is developed. So this sort of thinking he used to carry, and he was a great leader, of course. Supreme Court today held that all candidates will have to declare their criminal antecedents to the Election Commission before contesting elections. So if any sort of heinous crime basically Supreme Court is trying to clean Indian politics, and here people can support this stand taken by Supreme Court, because if we want to see a real change in the behavior of political parties, then we have to demand this thing, right? Political parties will supply us what we demand. They will try to supply us things that are many a times not necessary for us. Then once we start accepting it, once we start accepting this supply that is provided to us, then we become addicted to that thing, or we become too much used to with that thing as well. And one of that thing is criminalization of politics, which is, of course, you can say it's very dangerous for democracy. And we find so many politicians, they are facing serious crimes, very, very serious crimes. So Supreme Court has said that we need to get rid of, the political party should not give tickets, or they should not field those candidates who are tainted or who are facing some serious allegations. Supreme Court has second item that we have is Supreme Court has constituted a committee. This committee will be headed by former judge Justice Amitava Roy, and this committee is going to look after jail reforms in our country. You know the situation, it's overcrowded, and so many crimes going on, human rights violations and things like that going on in our jail. So this committee, Mr. Roy committee, is going to look after this jail reforms. Keep this name in mind. Health Minister has got small update. And nearly we are done with our discussion today, because here Health Minister is talking about this Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. We were talking about this thing yesterday as well. So basically a small update on the first day itself. This Jan Arogya Yojana has helped nearly 1,000 plus people. And what we find is Telecom Ministry tells us that FDI, foreign direct investment in telecom sector, has jumped 5 times in last 3 years, which is a very good thing, from 1.3 billion US dollar to 6.2 billion US dollar. So that's not bad. And the more we step higher and higher, we used to be in 3G, remember, then now 4G is going on, and we can see a vast difference between 3G and 4G. So many new services started because of 4G, and just imagine in near future, by 2020s, we are going to have 5G. So that's going to bring some more changes for us, more development, more opportunity. That's everything in today's discussion. The most important topic was, of course, Maldives. So make sure you go through the maps and other things as well. And once you download this file, do think about all those things that we have talked about today. So that's everything. Enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind.